Rocky makes room for them as a Duluth poet with an original voice and a lot to say. Welcome to the playlist.
Thanks.
Okay, you told me earlier that you learned to write poetry and started writing poetry because you were doing homework for somebody else?
It was in middle school, and a group of students had an assignment to do poetry, and they didn't do it, and I volunteered to do it, and just started writing silly stuff, and everybody liked it, and I started liking it more, and I think that's one of the memories I can remember of where I really started to write. So I'm not sure how old you are when you're in 9th grade, but.
And now, when you're writing poetry, are you thinking about who might read it, or are you writing it for yourself?
Both, but more for the community for sure. I would like to think that it opens eyes, it breaks walls down. I think poetry is a good way to make a bridge for different cultures and different types of people that wouldn't normally meet together, or poetry event or something, a reading would draw different types of people in, and so then they're forced to be together and maybe talk about issues. Or I think that's kind of like what I write, so people can see different points of view, I think, also. Lost and found. I was once lost in cars, stars, bottles of wine, and tattooed arms, and salty lemons chasing shots. I wasn't me. I'd yawn but couldn't sleep. They said I was lost. I would look for myself in clouds when the sky was red. I was lost. Twisted tight in zigzag papers and fright. In the dark, I heard only my cries and followed the lightning. I found myself lost in faraway lands, dancing free under cottonwood trees, like a whirlwind spinning. My spirit found its way back to the center of my life.
You take on some challenging issues, alcoholism, drug abuse, disenfranchisement, all of those things.
Yes, it's definitely an issue in all community, no matter if it's Native community or non-Native community. I think it's to make light of things, use humor, and it is like another way of dealing with the struggles that we may have. So there's a balance of reading stuff that maybe someone may take as a negative connotation, but really it's more of like, hey, this is a real thing, and maybe we should hear it, or maybe some of us don't see it or refuse to see it.
How is your poetry received in your community?
I've got a lot of good feedback on it, and a lot of good encouragement to keep writing, and it's also opened a lot of other opportunities to share poetry in the community. So I think people understand it, or maybe it's different than other poets in Duluth, I think, for sure.
You also play with just the way those words look on a page, and poets do that. There's a lot of Z's sometimes that show up in next to the S's. Tell me how that came to be.
It was my own little selfish way of owning something, maybe saying, hey, that's mine. Or when people read it, they'll, hey, that's probably Rocky's, because all these Z's and all these words that are put together. And that's just another way of showing, of expressing also, like, if you read it, then you have to take the time to read it and to decipher more of it and look more into it. And I think it's just a way of grabbing your attention more, and something I just did and I just liked and just kept doing.
Future projects for Rocky. Will there be a published something that people could go to or buy?
Yeah, I'm still working on a book. I did write a chapbook, which is right here, and I have hundreds of poems that I could be published, and so it's figuring out what's right or how I'm gonna put that together, but I think that's gonna be coming out soon.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time. Good luck. I'll be watching for you.
Yeah, thank you.